What's up, guys and gals, and welcome back to Featherhead Crypto. I am Featherhead. Today we're interviewing CEO of Bridge Protocol, Stephen Hyduchak. Hopefully I said his last name properly. Full disclosure, I do work for these guys, but I am only a Telegram administrator. For those of you that do not know what a Telegram administrator is, I'm basically the water boy for the high school football team. It's about the equivalent of what I do, so it's not like I have a big stake in the company or anything. I just like these guys, and I've been trying to get them on here for a while, but they've been super busy. Finally, going to be able to get a few minutes here where we can have a quick interview with the CEO. Hopefully, we can get a good update on where they are right now. As always, this is not financial advice. Hope you enjoy the video. Please subscribe, click that bell icon so you can know when we are releasing our most current videos, and leave your comments below. Tell us which projects you want us to look into, and we will see if we can talk to their CEOs or team members. Enjoy the video, guys. What's up, guys? We're here with CEO of Bridge Protocol, Stephen Hyduchak. How you doing, Stephen?
Great to be here, Featherhead.
Yeah, glad to have you. So, I guess we'll make this a short interview here if you want. We'll get right into it. What is the Bridge Network?
Well, first off, just thank you for all your work in the Telegram. You're doing a tremendous job, and we really appreciate your help. And the community I know has expressed their gratitude for everything you do. So thank you for that. And jumping right in on Bridge. Bridge is just, in simple words, it's a verification network. So everyone's heard the word KYC, AML. Know your customer, you're scanning passport, selfie. That's a capability of it. But when you pull that back, it's really something that can verify anything. Whether your business needs to verify and vet that a developer has 5 years of work experience at 3 different companies, that's something that you can set. So we act as the gatekeepers before going onto a blockchain. You wouldn't want to put your social security number and your driver's license number onto a blockchain. That becomes this whole big word we hear, immutable. That means it can't be changed. So you kind of have to look at a hybrid model, especially with identity and anything that needs to be certified. So you can have privacy and anonymity when you need it, and you can handle a lot of the things when you do need to make sure that PII, that personally identifiable information, is secured. You can do that off the chain and verify it once. So that's kind of our approach to it. So you can verify all different kinds of things, and that's the core of what Bridge is.
Yeah, and you mentioned social security numbers, which is something I'm absolutely sick of giving out. I mean, I don't. Everybody talks about all this identity theft out there, and then you go somewhere to sign up for something, and they ask for your social security. Like even when I'm in person, I'll ask them. I'll say, "Do I really have to put my social security number?" And they say, "Yeah, you have to." And then there's a lady behind them shaking her head, "No, I wouldn't do it." It's like.
Right.
So something like this would eliminate that essentially.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. We have some work to do in the sense of the education of that. Like, we've said this to our community before. One of the good analogies that I've seen, and I've said to my team, if you remember 10 years ago when the iPhone came out, the flashlight app was groundbreaking, or the drum app on it was so cool. And these were the basic apps to the Apple ecosystem. Like, that's where we are. Like, this is day one, and there's a lot of education that needs to be done, and especially with identity. Cryptocurrency exchanges and cryptocurrency blockchain businesses come to us, and we're trying to inform them and educate them about this reusability of an identity, but it's not there yet. So for us, bringing utility to this space, you have to bring value to what businesses need. So yes, maybe 3 to 5 years from now, blockchain will be the underlying solution. But right now, our focus is building that up and getting a really strong, scalable blockchain tool, but also giving them the services that they want. So these are things like we said, this KYC, know your customer, anti-money laundering checks. I know we have some things on the radar to talk about that soon, but that's kind of our tool with the whole social security number. You may still have to give that, but we want to reduce the times that you do that. So if we can get multiple businesses understanding that, hey, we don't need to see this every single time, then that's where we can start with that education.
Right, and that's a pretty good start.
Could you speak some about STOs and IEOs and how Bridge Protocol will play a role with these?
I think those are really big buzzwords now, and I know that STOs are getting some traction and they are doing raises. The one thing that's kind of stinks about the space, one of the things we're seeing is the quote unquote backdoor filing. So that's all these people doing, a Form D, a Reg D. That's for credit investors only. So if you don't have a net worth over a million or have a few years track history of a $200,000 income, which most of us don't, that's a very good income. You can't even get involved with your favorite project. So I think it's a solution for kind of the crowdfunding space that we have, and it's working its way there. And I think it offers a new, because let's face it, investors or participants in this space got really burned after 2017, 2018. I mean, these projects raising $100 million, and it is what it is. That's kind of how this space grew. But this gives investors now, through a security, a little bit more of a security, which is the whole point of it. So I think it's really good. What's going to appeal is the initial exchange offering to a lot of people, just because it's like, oh, Binance is running this IEO. Let me just throw some Binance tokens at this. I know they're going to get a listing after. It's kind of like what we're talking about with the security. They can say, we're securing a NASDAQ listing. Well, then the price automatically and investor interest is through the roof. And now it's kind of the same thing. It's like, well, Binance is going to say that we're going to list these guys if they're an IEO on our platform. They're going to sell $7 million in 15 seconds or whatever it was. And that's going to be it. They'll make a 2, 3, 4 return, and they'll be on their way. And how long that lasts, I'm not sure. But I know the biggest thing that we're seeing, and not to go long-winded on it, but is the monitoring, tracking, and the whole compliance aspect of it. Is in a lot of these exchanges, Binance included, they don't, and they're just starting to look at this. How good is your compliance? Are you, how is your data GDPR certified, where you're storing your users' information? Is there the right to rescind your information? Do they have a data officer? All these things, if you want it to be legitimate and the US to ever be adopted, those are things that are going to need to be done. So those are the things that we're working on.
So what are some more potential use cases for bridge verification? So technically speaking, could we see something like this in the future, maybe on Facebook when we're logging into our profile, so we don't have to keep entering our password and whatnot and mess with all of our information?
Yeah, I mean, I think the sky is the limit. It really comes down to around this and being open source. So obviously we wanted to really push that to the community. And that, now, if I am able to not type or see tomorrow, the project will still go on. The code's there, the GitHub's open, the repos are all open. The community holds more tokens than us, so they can use this verification network for really anything that they want. So, obviously Facebook's that's a long reach right now. We have to start small. I think a lot of neo dApps that are looking for an ID solution, and I know there's a few already looking for that in more than one way, whether that's contractor verification or for payments, like you said, sign-ons to these social media platforms. This is something that they could pull our Chrome extension from the Google Chrome store, go to our code and modify it to add in and integrate into their solution, and we save them a year of work and thought, because it was building a house really without the blueprint. So they can take this and apply that, and I think the sky is really the limit. And I think we can really start. We have a great relationship with the City of Zion team, and our developers come from there. We're highly engaged with the Digital Asset Alliance, and people know this is there. So really for us, it's about making it more simpler and making it easier for them to use.
Well, Stephen, I think you passed the test there. Guys, did you notice how he kind of pulled back when I mentioned working with Facebook and saying that's kind of a long shot there? A lot of these teams, if you pay attention, they'll throw big names out there like Facebook and Google, or we're going to work with Apple and all this stuff. This is still kind of early on in the blockchain technology realm anyways, I feel. Even though we've been here for a couple of years, you got to be aware of teams that throw these things out there. These guys are honest, and just like Steven just said, we're not exactly there yet, but we're aiming for there one day. Is what you were saying, right, Steven?
Right. And for me, just to emphasize, just throwing out the word blockchain doesn't make your project excitable anymore. Not only do people don't understand what that means, but it kind of goes back to what we were saying a few minutes ago. What is the business value that it's bringing? So what are you going to save costs for a business? What process are you going to simplify? And some of the things that I've seen from talking to exchanges and other projects, they need a better onboarder, meaning, we're not looking at things just like KYC. So to tie back in your last question, verification of corporate documents, verification of certificate standings, there's know your customer, and then there's know your customer for businesses. That's a whole nother application, and making a more easily onboarding solution. That's something that a business will look at. They don't even need to know that it's blockchain. So for us, like, our big thing is we're not touting, oh, blockchain. Like, yes, it's a cool way to do something, to decentralize bits and pieces and security to the user, but it's not this magic cure all save all. So for us, we're focused on listening to businesses and customers and what they want, and then making tools around that. And then if a blockchain tool works and can save them money, well, that's something that we're going to be a value added for them as well.
Now, does Bridge Protocol have any competitors out there, and how do you guys differ?
I know there's some in Neo. Everybody's everyone has their different twists on identity. A lot of there's the decentralized identity standards and solutions they're trying to make in these different foundations. And for us, we looked at it as pragmatically as possible. So we looked at the tools that we had, we looked at the documentation that we had, and said, how can we work with this, all while bringing usefulness into the token more, and giving something easier for someone to use. So that's kind of why we approach it from adding I know we hear the Chrome extension that we have. That's just what you see, that is the pretty facing of it. That's just kind of how it all runs. But behind the scenes, we wanted to simplify it with as many easily used tools as possible, with as least integration process as possible. So, our competition, they're using a lot of things that are truly decentralized, in the sense of, posting a base anonymous ID to the Ethereum blockchain. We're handling a lot of things off chain, all the certification. We're basically letting them, like I said, we're the gatekeepers, that you come onto our network and we allow it. If you trust Bridge, and you can trust that if I'm letting John Smith on and we certify that John Smith, scanned his face to his document and these things match, well, then, you can assume that there's good monitoring to these people. So that's kind of how we approached it, because if you are truly decentralized, how do we ever know that John Smith is really John Smith? You have to have a whole network of people around there checking him, but you have to trust those people on the network to check them. So it's kind of like a system that does need some trust. And I think that's what differs us from the Key or Civic or any of these other platforms. That's really been our focus.
Yeah, and I used I helped test on your Chrome extension a while back, and
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem, guys. This is something that's super easy to use. I mean, it didn't take. I didn't time it, but I felt like a few minutes and just a few steps, and you were good to go. And from my understanding, you only have to do that once. Is that correct?
Right, and I mean, it really depends on the business. So, if it's a gig economy or a contractor platform, if they need, let's just say the standard is millennials. I think I've seen studies that, and I swear I'm not trying to make this up, but I think I've seen studies where the average millennial stays in a job like 18 or 20 months now. So I mean, if that was my business, I'd want to recertify somebody roughly about every 18 to 20 months, just to see, if I was trying to verify their work experience, just to see that they're staying on task and things change. So for the most part, yeah, it's a one and done shot. So if someone really just needs to see that you are matched to who you say you are, I mean, that never changes. Creditor investor status, that stuff changes. There's a 90-day lock on that. You have to recertify, but for the most part, it is one and done. You can use that however you want, and even if not, even if it let's just say years later, you want to use your Bridge passport. The bottom line is you have this blockchain, you have this transaction record through Neo, and you can use our Block Explorer where you can see that user, how many transactions they've sent back and forth with their credentials. You can see that whole history, that whole log. So, it assures me when I can go into my Google account and see where all my devices are logged in. Well, this is the same principle. I can see if someone's trying to buy something from me or we do a business transaction. I'll go right on the Bridge Block Explorer and I'll go see how active this person is. If it's a newly created passport within the last day, well, then I have to do a little more research on my own end too.
I guess I classify as a millennial. From the age of 13 until I think 20, I never worked longer anywhere than a year. But every time I was raised to work hard and all that, but every job I went to, I had a pay increase, including the military. I didn't even stay in the military for longer than a year, which is basically unheard of. But, I landed on a pretty good job, and I'm happy where I'm at now. So,
good. Yeah. And then in a few years, when you become a credit investor and you want to get into that, that next big, STO, those are things that we're ready for. And our portal has that. Our big focus has been adding marketplace tools. So, kind of on our roadmap is what we've been focusing on. So we have this core, we have this code and, some token usage. It's really about building that up through value-added services. So that's what we've been working on this quarter, and we'll plan to be rolling out next quarter.
It's pretty cool. So let me get into this next question here. Don't answer it because I think you're going to ruin the following question because you probably know where I'm headed. I'll just continue on and read this quote I have found from this article. I was going to ask, how badly does blockchain industry need a more secure way of screening for the KYC and AML processes? But I'm sure you heard about the Bittrex failing to obtain their Bit license in New York. But here's an article from CryptoSlate.com, and I'm just going to quote it real quick, and I'll let you respond. U.S. cryptocurrency exchange Bittrex had its Bit license application rejected by the New York Department of Financial Services after years of scrutiny. The agency rejected the application because of alleged deficiencies in anti-money laundering practices alongside poor due diligence over token launches, among other shortcomings. What is your response to that?
Well, I think it's fitting for what we've been working on the last year and a half, and when we started this journey. I've been I kind of saw this coming. There was no tracking, there was no monitoring. When we were consulting, we saw the same thing. When I was consulting, it was, what is KYC? Then you have all these KYC, risk of your online social media profile, and an email risk score. So there's all these services, and if you're a software company or you're an exchange, like you want to run your business, you don't know what. That's what you rely on these providers to do. So that was non-existent. And, we see that with the Bit license is tough. We know some guys, currently going through that process now. It's expensive, it's time consuming. But one of the things, and this has been my core pillar, something that we've been, moonlighting in our own time, adding more value into the Bridge marketplace through my team, a small group of us, we've been, building out this true, what I think is the best and most comprehensive KYC and AML platform. So the building blocks of Bridge and everything that will be there is going to be aided by this tool that we're working on. And imagine when someone's trying to apply for their Bit license, they don't want to just see that they're using this company over here for KYC, this company for AML. We're going to be that team that says we have KYC, AML. Here's our watch list data sources. I built some of the most comprehensive checks on the market for that we're going to be using for our business service. And one of the other things is spending a lot of time around GDPR. That's making sure our encryption secured on that side when we're processing of the documents. Making sure I mentioned this DPO, this data protection officer in the EU, so we can serve all of these customers there that may need help, or saying, hey, what is my data being used for? I want this to be removed. Give me the report and audit. These are all requirements of this GDPR doctrine that's come out that everybody's heard about, received the emails about. So for us, it's been really spending a lot of time there. So when companies and exchanges come to us, they're going to say, hey, we use the Bridge Protocol Network driven by this, Aver or whoever in their marketplace that we choose. It's going to be the best. I'm sure of that. And, when they go for their bit license, they're going to say, look at this monitoring, look at this compliance they have, look at their reporting they have. And I think that's where it starts with. And, for us, the cost was the biggest thing. And in these exchanges like Bittrex, you saw you read in that press release, one of the things was the cost. These guys get, a $500,000 bill for, a few thousand customers. It's kind of like, well, we'll take our chances. And that's something that we wanted to fix with reusability.
I only got a couple more questions for you here. Since I am one of the Telegram administrators, and I get to see directly all the questions that they have for you guys, and I don't know how often you're in there or to see what they're talking about, but I know some of them are curious what you guys are doing. I know you're hard at work, but could you maybe just touch on what you guys are working on right now, and maybe what we can expect out of Bridge Protocol coming up in the next few months, or maybe within this year?
Sure. So yeah, like I said, our roadmap really for the next 2 quarters was, getting behind us all the, further development and a lot of user feedback. I mean, this is something that we talked about. People need to understand, we are a startup, true and clear. We had all the pains of finding some of the best blockchain developers to aid in our time. And, these things aren't built overnight. So that's what we were working on prior. Everybody's seen that. The code's there to be looked at, tested, used, implemented. So for us is now, like I mentioned, bring value to that. So the next 2 quarters for me, my focus is giving you new businesses to consume in our portal. So it's not just a Chrome extension or code that you can fork to do what you want, which we want businesses and developers to do, but we want to give you tools that are already ready to go. So if you wanted to start a business, you would already go to Bridge, and at a very low cost, you can. Our token is always going to be a payment. That's what we said it was going to be. So you can pay in Bridge token, and we, instead of outsourcing like everybody else was, which would have bankrupted us, we wanted to build the best tech for that marketplace, our marketplace. So those are things, like I said, the digital verification providers. So that's something that, like I said, while we're seeing this space, I was moonlighting in my time, building out that architect and roadmap, on the side while we were implementing Bridge. So that's kind of, the timing is a few months off. I wanted them all to be at the same time, but that's something that I'm really going to be happy to release to everybody. And in this space, it's going to be great because, like I said, we could have easily outsourced that like we were using these third-party companies, but the cost was crazy, and people they just stuck their nose up to it. They were like, well, screw compliance. We're just going to take our chances. And that our tool is going to reduce it. I can guarantee that. So that's really what we're focusing on more integration. So that's talking to a lot of these Neo projects. And honestly, to be frank, we're one of the first Neo projects that actually have implementable code, a real product. So, being one of the earlier Neo projects, we kind of had a head start in that sense. So we're waiting for a lot of these real projects to come to fruition at the same time, because that's our market right now, is the blockchain teams. And to be honest, like I said, we're just waiting for some to come to fruition to apply this.
All right, so I got one hard question for you here. Well, I guess some people find it hard. I like to try to ask every team member and CEO that I have on the show here. Given a perfect market, Bitcoin's kind of picking up here lately, and let's say they just take back off, or not take off, we have a healthy climb and level out somewhere. Where do you see Bridge Protocol in, let's say, 5 years from now? Do you plan on branching outside of blockchain? And I'm pretty sure you've considered that or are pursuing that. But perfect world, 5 years from now, where do you see Bridge Protocol?
I see Bridge just evolving as people need it, kind of like an open-ended project like Ethereum. It's really about the dApps, as I say, and as Vitalik did his song about, it's all about the dApps. It's all about them. Like I said, we're waiting to see who grows. We're waiting to see who can use it. while that's going on and blockchain is getting better educated to businesses, we're building these non-essential tools. When I say non-essential, I mean non-blockchain tools. So things that will actually bring value, and we can bring the value of that down through our work and some of these really great new tools through Microsoft Azure and DigitalOcean. The tools are getting really, really good for developing teams. So it's going to bring those traditional software as a service businesses down, and coupling Bridge in with that and taking Bridge as payment. I mean, it's a win-win for our community, and it's a win-win for us because we're going to give you tons of services, tons of use, and it becomes just something you don't have to think about. You don't have to go to my goal is you don't have to call me to know what kind of KYC. You're going to get the best KYC. You're going to get it 60% cheaper than anybody could offer it to you, and you're going to go on your way. And then that's just going to be one of the tools that we do. So that's our goal, and I can tell you we're going to do that way before 3 to 5 years.
Well, that's pretty exciting and something to look forward to. That's pretty much all the questions I have. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we close this out?
No, I think you hit a lot of the questions that I want. Like you said, I'm in the Telegram from time to time. My team does a way better job at communicating than I do. When I'm needed, I come in, and my team, they give me the weekly rundown of what's going on, and we're always here to listen. Feedback. The GitHub's open for anyone who has any pull requests for edits and code that they're using. Please engage with us on GitHub. We'd love to hear what you think about it, and I'm excited, and thanks again.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you on. Actually, one of the reasons why I like this team so much, I didn't just ask to work for be an admin or whatever. I actually enjoy these projects, and I devote my time to them. I think that's why they selected me to be an administrator. But I think this is an honest team. I really get along with these guys. I think it's Matt that might be your brother. I spoke with him, Telegram. I spoke with Jesse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spoke with a few of those guys, and they all seem like down to earth and pretty straightforward. So that's why I like this team so much, and I like what they're delivering right now. But anyways, we appreciate you coming on the show, Stephen.
Thanks, Featherhead. We always appreciate your work, and thank you again for the tremendous value that you bring to the community and to us.
Yeah, not a problem. I think we had maybe just a couple small glitches on this, but other than that, everything is a good picture and audio. I want to apologize for that. That was probably on my end. My fiance was playing Xbox Live, and she gets pretty heavy into it sometimes. I may have to upgrade my internet.
But you got to get her that fiber now.
Yeah, I might have to do that.